Hello, how are you? I hope you are well and having a good day, whatever you've been doing with your day today. So today we're going to be reading some Am I the Bored Hole because it's my favourite. So if that's your kind of thing, then feel free to stick around and listen. So first up we've got Am I the Bored Hole if I don't go to my sister's wedding? My 36M sister 33F is getting married in March. She's having a destination wedding in Mexico and we have to RSVP, reserve our resort booking by early December. I looked into the stay and airfare and it would be 5 to 6 grand, not counting have to get passports, clothes, etc. But for me and my husband to go. This is uncomfortably expensive for us. We have the money, but it would have to come from our emergency fund and it would take us a while to save that money, much money. Again, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I mentioned how expensive this feels to my mother and she made it clear that she expects us to be there. She said she and my dad could cover part of the cost, but I don't feel comfortable accepting that. For some context, my sister and I did not get along growing up. As adults, we're cordial, but not close. She moved far away many years ago and we can go years without seeing each other in person. We do occasionally exchange messages or memes. She was at my wedding, but we got married at City Hall and it was just kind of a happy accident that she happened to be in town at the time. My husband and I don't like to travel or go to parties due to anxiety. We're introverted homebodies who prefer to hanging out at home with friends we already know. I feel like we're being expected to spend a lot of money that we would never normally would just due to family obligation expectation. My husband agrees about it being too expensive, but says he'll accept my decision on whether or not we go. I know we can expect some family pushback, disappointment, but would I be the asshole if we don't go? No, that's a lot of money, and if you don't want to go, then don't go. And if you don't really have a lot to do with each other anyway, then I think no harm, really. 5 to 6 grand is an awful lot of money in this day and age, especially with all these cosy living crises. So yeah, no, definitely not the butthole at all. If you can hear banging and clattering in the background, by the way, I do apologise. My cat is being the asshole today. So this next one is, am I the asshole for my girlfriend not getting into the school she wanted? My girlfriend is a non-traditional college student. She completed her associate's degree last spring with a very high GPA and meant to apply to some prestigious schools. Whenever she started working on her applications, though, she would panic and shut down. She ended up missing all of the deadlines. She did complete her application for one Ivy League school but didn't submit it at the last moment. Said it was embarrassing and that she had no place there. Now, I'm from the UK, so obviously I don't understand the college systems there. I'm also past school age, surprisingly, or not. So I don't know how it works, but I understand the pressure that she must be feeling. If they're like prestigious schools and standards are really high, and if she's the sort of person that's quite an anxious person anyway, I can imagine that being really like a lot of pressure and really hard to knuckle down and get it done. I didn't know what to do in these moments, to be honest. I am sure what I did wasn't right. She would really shut down and pull into herself, going into a 1,000-yard stare or breaking down into tears. I tried counselling her, but I can't remember a time it worked. I read over her application essays and made suggestions, but she would get defensive and reject them. I'm a pretty bad writer, and she's a very good one, so that was likely the right call. Now she's at a local public university and in tears every day because she finds it isn't the right fit. She blames me and tells me I didn't help enough and that she never felt supported through the process. I asked how I could have helped and she called me an asshole, saying she didn't know how to explain to people. She says she doesn't know how she can forgive me for this. I'm willing to accept that I'm the asshole and I'm what's holding her back, but I legitimately don't know what I should have done. How does one help an adult in shutting down? What was I supposed to do in this situation? I honestly feel terrible, and having no idea what my proper role should have been just makes it worse. To be honest, I think that this is a her problem and not a you problem. Like, yeah, you could have maybe been like, I think you need to go and see someone for a little counselling, a little bit of therapy, because you clearly seem to be really struggling at the moment, and I think that probably would have helped her. But you can't really do a lot other than be like, I am here for you when someone's in that position, when they're shutting down and they're going into that freeze mode. You can't do an awful lot other than say to them, I'm here to support you. Because if you tried to force her to do the things, she would have told you were a butthole for that too. If you'd have tried to force her, she would have pulled back even more. So it's not your responsibility. I do feel like she's projecting a bit on you there. However, there is some missing context. You don't really say if you were telling her that you were there for her, although I would like to assume that you would have. So other than that, I don't think there's an awful lot else you could have done other than encouraging her to go and seek some actual mental health help, because clearly she was struggling internally. Other than that, there's not a lot you could have done. So no, not the butthole. This one's called, Am I the asshole for proving my friend wrong that looks do matter? I, 34M, have a great group of friends who are really supportive and uplifting, especially with me recently as I try and lose all the weight I've put on since COVID. I've been working on it with diet, exercise and medication, but it takes time and they've all been amazing. Out of the group, I'm the only one still single, and it's not by choice, with mental, financial and physical health issues have keeping me single. One of my friends, Kay, 28F, is a very well-meaning but has decided to become my personal cheerleader when it comes to my dating life. She keeps insisting I try dating apps, saying it will just take some time, I need to be patient, and that my personality will shine through. I've told her I've tried them, but haven't had much luck, and that it's my looks that are holding me back, which I'm actively working on. Kay insists I'm being too negative about myself. The rest of the group just roll their eyes. So, to prove my point, this is where I might have been the asshole. I recreated my dating profiles, same name, background, prompts, but using my friends, who is a good-looking, happily married dude, pictures with his permissions. To prove my point that looks matter on dating apps. I showed Kay the results, over 150 matches on Hinge and a ton of likes and roses on Hinge and a plethora of bots on Tinder. See, bots don't really count though, do they? They really don't count, unless you mean just like you're calling day-to-day people bots. I'm not sure, but if it's actual bots, then it really doesn't count. She's now upset calling me an asshole for showing her how shitty the world can be, saying she was just trying to help. I feel like I might be the butthole for raining on her parade and showing how shitty the single life can be for an overweight single guy. I also might be a bit of a butthole to those women who have messaged me thinking I am my good-looking gay friend. Yes. So Reddit, am I the butthole? Okay, so not the butthole, but definitely need to work on your perception of yourself and what have you. I totally get having no confidence. I totally get feeling like just not good about yourself. I've been there. I used to be really skinny, and then I had my son and I gained a ton of weight, and I mean a lot of weight, and then I lost it all again. Now when I was the funny thing is, when I was overweight though, I still got a lot of attention from guys because I had a very bubbly, outgoing personality. Then there was all the lockdowns and things, and I become a lot more introverted. Now I've lost all the weight again, I do not get any attention. Now I'm quite happy with that because I really don't want any, again, because I have become such an introverted person. I don't want it, so it doesn't bother me. But I understand some people who do want it, it bothers them a lot. Like, some people really want that connection in a relationship, and that's what they strive for in life. And if you can't get that, or you feel like you can't get that, then there is a certain air of desperation that comes from it. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that that makes you a bad person or anything, but it's just a natural way it happens, which is why you have to take a step back and work on yourself first. As cheesy as that sounds, you really do. Take the step back, work on yourself, get used to being by yourself, accept being by yourself, and then I can guarantee you, once you've done that and you're a lot happier in your own company and people can see that you're a lot sort of bubblier and happier in general, you will attract people. It will happen. Because look at all these people who are, for want of a better term, overweight. You know, nothing inherently wrong with that. If that's the way someone wants to be, then that's fine. And they have no problems in getting attention from the people that they are attracted to. And it's all because of the way that they are and not the way that they look. Now, is there a shallow aspect to dating in life? Of course there is. And this is also a problem. You need to be getting out there in the real world rather than online dating. Online dating is a scourge on the human race, I swear. Because it is all off first impressions. It is all off that first photo you see, and it's very easy to bypass someone because they might just not even be very good at taking a photo. Most guys my age take photos from underneath their nose so you can see into their brain. So you could easily pass someone up by thinking, my goodness, what is that angle? You know, of course, there is a huge aspect of shallowness to online dating, but it is not the way it is inherently. So, yeah, you've got to just decide to put yourself out there, I guess. Am I the butthole for telling my sister she is a shitty parent? For context, this isn't a new issue. This is just the first time I finally lost my shit. My nephew, 14, has had both his big toes infected now for the last 8 to 9 months. Wow. I noticed when they first started after he had hung out with me and my kids and he took off his shoes and his feet were bothering him. They were red and swollen. I have an ex that had to have multiple surgeries throughout his life for ingrown toenails, so I knew the signs. I told her I could take him to get the new school shoes at the time because I was also taking my child. She copped an attitude and got mad with him because he never told her his feet hurt. Fast forward a few months down the road and she has new shoes, but his toes are not getting any better. He brings it up at the family calf. The old lady that does prep in the mornings and me talk with him about it. She buys him the stuff to soak his feet and he soaks them, but my sister never replenished the Epsom salts. At the time, I told her he needs a doctor's appointment before they got worse. She swore she would take him, and then it's been 6 months, and she calls me in a panic to come over. She wanted me to come over to look at them and help her lecture him on taking better care of his feet. I told her politely that this time it was her responsibility as a mother to make sure he is soaking his feet every day, and that obviously he hasn't been as there is pus and he needs to go back in and get antibiotics. His feet are so bad he refuses to tell her they hurt. I am sure so he doesn't get bitched at for not taking care of himself. Today they went and she sent me pictures and they very obviously need surgery. I lost it and told her it was neglect, that she should have been making him do it every day. Even though he is 14, he isn't exactly mature and he needs extra help and reminders, and that it was her job as his mum to make sure it hadn't got this bad, and that she failed to make him priority. Am I the butthole because this, amongst other things, has made me once more want to call CPS to do a welfare check? Will the doctor that he's seen today do that? Am I making a big deal about this? Absolutely not making a big deal about it. Like, infections like that can turn to sepsis. Literal sepsis. So, no, not the butthole. I would have probably done something to intervene sooner if you knew that she was neglecting him to the point that he was sitting with an infection for over 6 months. I probably would have gone, do you know what? This is medically significant enough for me to report this. Because, again, he could end up with sepsis. You can get a grazed knee and end up with sepsis. So an infection sitting in his system for over 6 months, oh my goodness. He could have ended up with, I know it sounds dramatic, but he could have ended up with like gangrene or something. He could have ended up needing it amputated because there was an actual active infection for 6 months. Definitely not the butthole. Probably would have called someone sooner if it was me, but that's just me, I suppose. But no, he's 14. Yes, he should be able to look after himself and take care of himself, but he is still a child, and she is still ultimately responsible. Even if all she has to do is get on his back about it and sit and watch him do it, you still do that. If you have to sit and watch them do the thing to take care of themselves, even if you think, oh, I shouldn't have to do it for them anymore, you still sit and make sure that they do it because he's still a child. Wow. Also, apologies if there was a weird interruption sound there on the microphone. I didn't want to re-record all that again, but one of the cats decided to smack the microphone with their tail, so thanks for that. So the OP edited to add, thank you for all the responses. Firstly, I want to say that I am going to make a call on her behalf. Secondly, for more context, I do not see my nephew on a daily basis, so I didn't realise it was getting as bad as it was. Okay, that does make sense then. I am also a mother of 2 autistic kids that need a lot of support, all while I have a lot of health problems I am battling, and I just finished a year of chemo. I am very sorry that you're going through that, and I really, really hope that you're doing better now and that the chemo is working. I do feel terrible about not stepping in sooner, but this was also the first time in my life that I separated myself from everyone else's needs to take care of myself and my kids first. I have always taken care of and been the responsible party within our entire family dynamics, and it's been that way since I was a kid. I am going to do what I can to make sure it is right for him. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. If you don't see them every day, how are you to know? And you're doing something now, so something's being done now at least. And hopefully you're getting better, because managing autistic children at the best of times is difficult. So managing them when you're going through chemo, I can imagine, is just been hell on earth, bless you. So hopefully you're feeling better now. And yeah, I hope your nephew feels better soon as well, and your sister gets a kick up the backside that she quite clearly needs. Am I the butthole for charging my friend more than half the rent without him knowing? It seems like a good way to get yourself into some legal trouble just from reading that, but we will read on. You never know, there might be a reason for that. I am the only leaseholder on my 2-bedroom apartment. For about 4 months, my friend and his brother were renting out the master bedroom from me and sharing it. I was dividing the rent 40-30-30 and everyone was happy. Last month his brother left and it was just the two of us. I discussed with him that since he had the master bedroom, his rent would be $200 more than mine, or we could switch rooms and I'd pay the higher rent. This was my agreement with previous roommates too. He complained that it was unfair and that it should be a simple 50-50. He also complained a lot about switching, saying he had a lot more stuff and that it was going to be so much hassle to move. That he has to go into work while I work from home, so he spends less time in the apartment than I do. He also said we were friends and that I was being a bit cold and greedy. It got pretty heated and I dropped the issue. Once his brother had left and rent was due, he asked how much he had to pay. I said $1,100, the amount including the master room premium. He paid it without fuss. Yesterday he asked me to remind him again about the rent. I said $1,100 and he paid me without issue. Am I the butthole here? So let me get this straight. He doesn't know now that you're charging him this premium for the master bedroom. I think if he doesn't know, then yeah, because you haven't reiterated it. When he asked how much the rent was going to be, I mean, the logical thing to do would be, oh, you're paying this much. Don't forget that means you're paying more than me because of the fact that you have the master bedroom. Now, personally, I think if you're sharing a place, master bedroom or not, it should just be 50-50. That's just me. Other people might have a different opinion. So I don't really get why he needs to pay $200 more, unless the bedroom that he has is significantly bigger. Like if it's really, really bigger and then you've got like a little box room, then I could, probably understand it then. But I don't really understand why he needs to pay $200 more, really. But if that's your arrangement and he's okay with it, then that is what it is. But just make sure that he's very clear on the fact that he is in fact paying $200 more. Just reiterate it just to be sure. So then you are covering your backside then, basically. Okay, we'll do one more post for the day, I think. And this one, obviously, content warning for talk of pet euthanasia, if that's something that you are sensitive to. This one is, am I the butthole for planning the euthanasia of the family dog despite my stepdaughter's protests? My husband and I live together and my stepdaughter, 22, lives between our house and her mum's. She probably spends 65% of her time here. I also have a stepson, but he's at university. We have a 12-year-old Labrador, Lola. Lola was dumped on my husband at the age of 1 by his ex, stepchildren's mum, because she couldn't be bothered with her and has a history of selling family pets when she gets bored, overwhelmed with caring for them. Not great, definitely not great. Don't get pets if you don't plan on keeping them. My husband took Lola in, and a cat, but that's another story, and has provided all the care for 11 years. His kids would go out for walks with Lola as a family from time to time, but aside from that, he does everything. I met Lola when she was 9, and her decline since then is very evident. The problem is Lola has become senile, and regardless of how many times we let her out of the bed, we will wake up to urine poo on the carpet. We rent, so putting down better flooring isn't really an option. My husband has vaxed the carpet every morning since I can remember due to this. It's unsanitary and we're embarrassed to have people over because of the stains and the smell. We literally can't keep on top of it. When Lola does pass on, we will get the carpet a deep professional clean as many times as it's needed, but at the moment, it would be a futile effort. My husband works from home, so Lola can use the garden whenever she needs. She really can't go on walks for longer than 10 minutes anymore. My husband and I are at the end of our tether, and Lola's quality of life, if I am honest, is crap. She sleeps, eats, and then pisses and poos on the carpet at night. She starts barking through the night for no reason, and we've had to put a stair gate up as she attempts to climb the stairs with her joints, which her joints can't manage anymore. Stepdaughter, however, when we talk about euthanasia due to all of the above, tells us we want to euthanize Lola simply because we can't be bothered with her anymore. She feels that the situation with Lola's incontinence isn't enough to warrant euthanasia and that we are being heartless and overzealous. We advise today that this will probably be Lola's last Christmas and we'll make the most of it. Stepdaughter left the room crying. I, for the most part, have tried to keep out of it despite the situation getting me down because this isn't my childhood dog, so I feel like I don't really get a say in it despite living here. My husband has no attachment to Lola anymore because of the situation and is still caring for her but resents her if I'm honest. Every time we try to bring up the subject, stepdaughter cries and leaves the room and it's causing a lot of tension in the house. We feel like she isn't appreciating how hard the incontinence is to manage and how unclean it is. She thinks we're heartless. Am I the butthole? No, probably not, because if the dog's quality of life is really as bad as the OP says, then no, because if they cannot control their bladder, cannot control their bowels, they cannot get up the stairs, they're senile, so they're probably suffering. The dog is probably suffering, so no. If it was just the fact of, oh, the dog makes a mess around the house, and it was a behavioural thing, then it's a bit different. But if the poor animal can't even control their guts, basically, they must be getting into a mess themselves. I highly doubt that the animal's enjoying sitting in their own mess. You know, dogs don't tend to enjoy sitting in their own pee and poo. So probably not. Difficult one to say though, because it's very much a personal situation, isn't it, at the end of the day? But I think if it was my pet that was struggling that much with day-to-day life and were covered in their own urine and poo all the time and there was no way to get it under control, no medications, nothing like that, then I do think that there has to come a point where you consider the animal's quality of life over your own feelings, really. But I wouldn't say the butthole. I just think there's no winners in this situation, is there? And on that rather sad note, I think we'll leave it there for today. If you've listened to this whole video, then I thank you very much. It's great to have you here. If you want to come back and listen to more, then feel free to like and subscribe. It definitely will help me out a bunch. And then you can come back and hear my irritating voice some more. But yeah, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.